Judy Battista. How are you, Judy?
Hi, Rich. How are you?
I am doing very well. Better for talking to you here on a very busy part of our calendar year.
It is.
So
unbelievable.
The competition committee is meeting in New York. Is that what they're meeting, or are they usually or down in Florida?
Here.
They're in New York. Okay.
They're here in Indianapolis.
Okay.
They're here in Indianapolis, and then they have a meeting because they don't usually meet in bad spots. Then they go to Naples, Florida, in a few weeks.
Okay.
Sure. And then they go to the owners' meeting, the big league meeting, at the end of the month, end of March.
What are you hearing about their discussions that could actually become placed before the membership for a vote with a chance to pass? How about that, threading that needle, Judy?
Well, the catch rule, something's going to happen with the catch rule because Roger Goodell says he wants something to happen with the catch rule, so something's going to happen. From talking to them yesterday, it sounds like they're going to look at eliminating the part about going to the ground, which is, basically you have to hold the ball, not just going to the ground, but completing going to the ground. And it looks like that's going to be eliminated. And even though that affects like a handful of plays a year, it's the handful of plays we all end up talking about and debating. I mean, it is the Dez Bryant non-catch. It's the Calvin Johnson play. It's the Jesse James from the Steelers this year against the Patriots touchdown that was negated. So it looks like if there's a tweak, it's going to be that.
Well, do you know what the language would be?
No, that's not done yet. They are. This is where they start the process. They look at a lot of film and they talk for a lot of hours about what they're going to do. Then they go to Naples at that meeting and they really firm up what they're going to do, and then they present it to the ownership for a vote at the end of the month in March at the big league meeting. But essentially the rule would stay the same, except for taking out the going to the ground, where you have to sort of complete going to the ground with the ball intact. So think of what Dez Bryant did in that playoff game, and that would be a catch instead of a non-catch.
So it would be a fumble? Is that what it would be? Because he did not cross the plane.
No, that would be a catch because he had control of the ball and he went down with it. But remember, they said the ball moved. He lost control of the ball after he hit the ground.
So it would be similar to a fumble that the ground can't cause a fumble in a catch in the same way the ground can't cause a fumble when you're taken down to the ground as a runner. So that's the issue is what is the language to make Dez Bryant a runner as opposed to somebody who's trying to complete the process, right?
Right. I mean, that is the
question
language of how they're going to do the language. And that has always, from covering the competition committee for years, and I'm sure you know this from talking to people in the league too, it's really complicated to do the language because whenever they tinker with the language, it creates unintended consequences that then they have to deal with like next year.
Tell me about it. That's the words, the tuck rule come right. I mean, that's it right there.
Right. So this is like the competition committee dreads this every year. Like I talked to a member of the competition committee after Roger Goodell said he wanted something done with the catch rule. And I said, "Oh, you're looking forward to that?" And the person responded, "Ugh." So they dread this. They know that by tweaking one thing, they could be opening a can of worms on the other. Here's an example that somebody gave me. Mm-hmm. If you go to you have to just have 2 feet down and that makes it a reception. They said that opens on the other side problems with changing the defenseless receiver rule, which is something that they don't want to do because they don't want to weaken protections for a defenseless receiver. So those are the kinds of things they have to consider, all of the unintended consequences when they go in and change the language.
Judy Battista of the NFL Media Group, NFL Network, joining me in the Honda Insider Report. I did see in Al Riveron's tweets that the conversation came up about fumbling into the end zone and maybe looking at that rule. Please tell me that that's on the table, that fumbling into the end zone, the fumble would go back to the spot of the fumble, not handing it over to a defense that's already on its hind legs.
Yeah, that they are discussing that, and that's another thing that I'll be interested to see if they come out with that change to vote on. But they've discussed a lot of things. They've had a long conversation about making defensive pass interference just a straight up 15-yard penalty rather than a spot foul. That seems like a long shot right now. That would passed this year, but they've had conversations about it. They've had conversations about a targeting rule, the way they have in college. That, again, seems like a long shot. But they spend a lot of time going over a whole lot of options, and then they sort of winnow it down when they go to the meeting in early March, and then they present what they think has a decent chance of success in front of the owners at the big March meeting.
And changing the rules about not hiring somebody during the playoffs. Yeah. Did Josh McDaniels finally push the needle towards changing that rule?
Yeah, I was told yesterday that rule has actually come before owners in years past and has not generated enough support, but they are sure that it's going to get the support with that incident fresh in everybody's mind, because ultimately, let's be honest, owners don't like to be embarrassed, and that was an embarrassing situation for the Colts, even though I think they recovered really well. They don't want that to happen to another franchise.
Any idea what the Patriots' vote on that rule would be?
They don't have to worry about it, right?
Well, one would think. You never know. Somebody might come knocking on Josh McDaniels' door the day that Bill Belichick goes off to Nantucket, for good. You never know.
I don't think Bill's going anywhere for a while anyway.
Is there any word about that, about the meeting of the Patriot minds, the Brady, Belichick, Kraft, Yalta that we were talking about?
Nope. As you well know, they make themselves scarce at the Combine. We don't hear too much from the Patriots here, so they go about their business quietly. They're here, obviously, but they do not speak to the media, and they don't make themselves available. So no insight yet on that meeting, whether it's happened or what happened in it.
Okay. Judy Battista here on the Rich Eisen Show and the Honda Insider Report. So what is going on between Roger Goodell and Jerry Jones, or as one member of the NFL media group asks another, what's going on between our boss and one of our bosses? What's going on, Judy?
Well, I think to phrase it better, it's one of our boss and all of the rest of the bosses. Like, I have been told by more than one person, this is not a Roger Goodell initiative. The push for this is from the other owners who were not happy with Jerry Jones, threatening to sue members of the compensation committee and, hiring David Boies and making that public. They were not happy with those threats. So the push to recoup the legal fees that they incurred, which are apparently around $2 million, maybe in excess of that, came from the ownership. So Jerry, not surprisingly, is going to appeal that, and that hearing is going to be next week. It'll either be heard by Roger Goodell himself or somebody he designates. The smart money is that Roger Goodell will probably designate somebody to hear that on his behalf.
Wow. Wow. Any idea which any idea which owners are the ones knocking on the commissioner's door saying you got to do something?
I was told if you polled the owners, there would probably be 28 or 29 who were in support of this.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was told owners were pretty angry. I mean, you can go through the list of people on the compensation committee. These are some of the most high-powered owners in the league. Arthur Blank, John Mara, Robert Kraft. I mean, these are some of the most influential owners in the league, and they did not appreciate being threatened by a fellow owner. I think what bothered most of them, as much as anything, is airing the league's dirty laundry in public is not something they usually do, and this was very public and very acrimonious, and it was owner versus owner, and they don't like that, and so they want to clamp down on this, and they have the means to do it. There's a rule on the books that's been there since Al Davis, and
that's right.
They're going to use it. They're going to exercise it.
And last one for you, Judy. Judy Battista in the Honda Insider Report is close to Jerry Jones's home. What is going on with Dez Bryant and the Cowboys? Because there's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of passive aggressivity through the media, there seems. What is happening between these two?
Stephen Jones addressed it a little bit yesterday, mostly with the Dallas area reporters, and I believe our own James Slater was there too. And passive-aggressive is exactly the way I would describe it. Nobody's throwing their arms around each other here. There's a whole lot of maneuvering and positioning, and Stephen Jones would not commit to anything. They're going to meet, and we'll see. But I was struck by the tone of Stephen Jones yesterday, that it was really non-committal and, not particularly warm, I didn't think.
No, he said at one point, talking about Dez's, sideline demeanor and how it can be a distraction sometimes, which is, as you know, a third-rail subject for Dez Bryant.
Sure.
And then mentioned about that and how sometimes it's great. He did say that. That's the passive part of the aggressive part. Okay. And then said, but based on the totality of his work, the body of work, meaning, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard catch season since 2014. And I read that. I'm like, wow. So, but what does that all mean? They want him to take less money, or could they just basically tell him adios, do you think?
Well, I certainly came away thinking they want him to take less money. Now, having said that, I mean, is Dez willing to do that? I mean, because the backside of that is, sort of them saying unspoken, if you're not going to take less money, that's what we're willing to do. You make the decision. Either take less money or thank you. So I'll be interested to see how that works its way out. But I agree with you. I was completely struck by the way Stephen Jones framed his comments yesterday, because I thought there were a lot of very carefully couched slaps there.
Okay, and then I lied. Last one for you. Based on the scuttlebutt and what everybody's whispering there in Indianapolis, Judy Battista, the color that you think is best associated with Kirk Cousins, purple, green. No, I don't mean the color of money, but green, brown or orange. Which one do you think? What's the color?
I think he's going to look really good in purple, just like Prince. Really good in purple.
The artist formerly known as the Washington Redskins quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Judy, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
He'll make beautiful music.
There you go. I'll see you out there in Indy. Thanks, Judy. Thanks for the info.
Rich.
You bet.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.